男やったら当たって砕けろや
Every march, every otaku ever. Corporate for this one featured Aiko's parents getting back together, which just so happens to be the second most I'll believe it when I see it moments in this whole franchise after Doremi getting her steak. The episode proper featured Aiko making some cookies for her mother as they were going to follow up on the events of a previous episode with her. Though she wasn't going to go out alone as her father had agreed to go with her, and yeah, of course she was hoping that she could use this as an opportunity to fix up their marriage. Though realistically, I think she knew it's going to take a lot more than that, but whatever, at least it's a start. I mean, yeah, her dad did suggest that it might happen, but I think he was more likely trying to comfort his daughter, with at least the idea, which good on him, but lines like this did suggest that he was hoping that his wife would work with him, and not really the other way around.
なんて言うん？
それは。
しれったいなもん
Stop drinking that soy milk and drink some real cow juice! But yeah, while Aiko's planning on giving her mother her cookies, said female parental guardian was planning on giving her a pair of new hair ties, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought these were cough drops at first. Anyway, Aiko and her dad boarded the Shinkansen the next day, while the rest of the Ojamajo were supposed to work at their bakery, but they decided to ditch it, let their fairies do all the work. Though to be fair, they have been kind of given an overextended vacation over the past few seasons. Put the sword down, Kojiro. But yeah, and even though they have traveled to Osaka by broom in the past, for whatever reason in this episode, they decided to turn into birds in order to ride on the same train as Aiko. Like, even if the Shinkansen is insanely fast on the ground, if they're traveling by air, they should be able to at least somewhat keep up with it. Or did they just really want to ride on the bullet train while stuck in the toilet as hamsters since they didn't buy tickets? Well, at least it should work out better than that one blue-haired idiot. Apparently he's a politician these days, as if he could be more unlikable. Also, this train line is gonna get some nasty Yelp reviews if they see rats running around on it. Anyway, all of the members of Aiko's family were actually looking forward to their little reunion, which was going to include a nice little picnic, and as such, Aiko and her dad ate light on the train while her mother put together some nice looking bentos, and yeah. When and how are things gonna start going south? I mean, really, you can't expect them to sort of break the status quo, and don't get me wrong, I still think this is a well-written episode and everything, but come on, it's kind of obvious where this is going. Anyway, having traveled by Shinkansen during my last trip to Japan, I know for a fact that they actually got off at the Shin Osaka station, which I can say is one of the nicer stations I've been to, for the most part. Ah! Rats! And I mostly stayed around in that area in Umeda, which is a little more up north, while Aiko's mother worked in the southern part of the city, Tengachaya, so they had to take about a half-an-hour local train ride to it. And of course, within that time, something bad just had to happen, as Aiko's mom was called in as one of her patients was suddenly in critical condition. And since texting wasn't a thing yet, and Aiko's boomer dad didn't even have a cell phone, she was forced to leave a message to them on a bulletin board. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch an episode like this with a more modern perspective. Like, while I didn't see any of these during my last trip to Japan, I don't doubt that they existed at one point, just for situations like this. Though, at the same time, I do wonder how many people actually ended up misusing them.
Oh, God damn it!
But yeah, another reason you probably don't see these things anymore is simply because they also rely on people to actually look at them, and well, it's hard to do that at a busy train station, especially when you have to deal with some of those annoying Gen Zers. Oh no, this is not really gonna affect this episode all that much. I mean, for one thing, Aiko and her dad wouldn't look at this board until like the end of the episode, and by then, they ended up learning what had happened to the mother through contacting the hospital she was working at. Meanwhile, the rest of the Ojamajo did end up discovering it, and actually figured out what it was trying to say for the most part, so really smudging it like this was just kind of pointless. Also, legit question, couldn't they just use their magic to restore the message? Like, of all the other time and reality warp powers they have, you'd think reversing some writing would be possible too. But yeah, point is that it did feel like a bit of a superfluous detail, other than as a means of a little extra drama just for the sake of it. But yeah, as we said, Aiko's father learned about what had happened to his ex and was once again left disappointed that she prioritized her job over him and his daughter.
自分の子供よりよそのお年寄りの方が大事なんや。
Okay, dude, now you're just acting like a putz. Like, if you're frustrated with your ex, then that's actually really understandable, but don't drag down an elderly person while you're at it. Thus, rightfully, Aiko called him out and pointed out that while she was disappointed that they couldn't eat lunch together, she also admitted that she wouldn't change anything about her mother, who she admired for taking care of those in need. It was a good showing of Aiko's more mature character in the face of her father, who really hasn't developed over the course of these 3 seasons, which is sadly kind of accurate for most dads. Anyway, as we also said, the Ojamajo found the message on the board and decided to tell Aiko about it. Was this episode written by Yoshimi Narita? Okay, you mean Kageyama. Alright, sorry, I just thought that things were getting a little too furry for my taste. But yeah, after pulling her away for a second, we got pretty much the thematic climax of this episode, with Aiko deciding that in spite of her friend's suggestions that they should just go see her mother at the hospital, she recognized that her dad was still a little hot and they'd probably just get into another argument. Thus they decided to just call it a day, again showing that she has a good head on her shoulders. That said, her friends did figure that they could at least deliver her cookies for her. So they went to the hospital and for some reason transformed into nurses, which yeah, the animal stuff was already kind of questionable, but who's gonna believe these little girls are actual nurses? Like really, all you need is a COVID mask these days to prove that you're super serial about diseases. Anyway, the mother managed to finish up her nursing duties and tried to rush to the station. In the process, Doremi managed to slip the cookies into her bag, which yeah, under most circumstances, I think a nurse would probably throw that stuff away in case it was something malicious. However, using that same bulletin board, Aiko left a message to her mother, which really should have confused her a lot more than anything, but whatever, the cookies were shaped like a certain happy family, so it was a good emotional gut punch to close out the episode, as Aiko managed to get her cookies to her mother, while her mother still held on to those hair ties. This was another good Aiko family episode. Yeah, I don't know what to say about these episodes at this point. Well, okay, I can say this is probably one of her weaker episodes, at least relatively speaking. Some of it did feel like it was a bit on repeat, and it also had a lot of pointless transformations for whatever reason. In many ways, I do understand why this episode needed more comedic elements with the other Ojamajo. Without them, the episode did run the risk of devolving into just melodrama, especially with the high tensions of Aiko's parents. For kids, and even kind of adults, it is at least a little off-putting to see parents argue so much. That said, Doremi and Cole did become rather distracting with all of their transformation antics over the course of this episode. 1 or 2 mutations are fine, but after the dogs, it felt like a little much, and then the nurses were just kind of pointless. Worst of all was how it was taking focus off of Aiko's main conflict, which is something that comedic relief should never do. Though putting that aside, the stuff with Aiko's family remains great, especially with how it's developing the Blue Ojamajo herself. Over the course of the series, she has come to realize how things just aren't going to work out between her parents at times, and rather than pushing the issue, they should try to take baby steps. Her resolution to not let them meet by the end of the episode was very bittersweet, but also arguably the most sensible choice in the end. It's very mature writing that thankfully balances out some of the more superfluous elements of this episode. And overall, it helps to make this another solid Aiko episode, even if it's not the best in her family saga. Hopefully next time, we'll be able to get some more wholesome family stuff, and maybe a little less furries if at all possible. Thank you for watching, and if you're currently going through a divorce, well, maybe you can watch some of our videos just to watch somebody who's a little bit more pathetic. As always, we got a plethora of content coming out every week, and we try to make it as entertaining as possible, even though it's probably not always the case. Look forward to whatever comes next. Until then, though, farewell for now, my friends, and you little monsters aren't gonna win this war!